Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Beekle-Wazorek, Chief External Affairs Officer here at CISA. And today, I am joined by Billy Bob Brown Jr., the Executive Assistant Director for the Emergency Communications Division here at CISA. Hey, Billy Bob.
Hey, Erin.
How are you?
Doing great.
I love that you're a part of the Emergency Comms Month origin story. And you all just did a Safe Comm nationwide survey, right? Can you tell us about that? What is it and why is it important?
Sure. So the idea of doing surveys is always critically important. Trying to get information directly from stakeholders to articulate what their challenges are so that we can find creative ways to develop solutions to help them overcome those challenges. So right in the name of the actual survey itself is that it is the SafeComm nationwide survey. The members of SafeComm, who encompass 35 public safety related associations across the nation from all walks of life. There are first responders that are in there. There are mayors that are in there. There are governors that are in there. There are state chief information officers who are in there. There are American Public Works officials who are in there. So there's a number of different stakeholders representing all of the communities, both large and small, across the country that are a part of SafeComm, and they recognize they need insights every few years to understand how is operable and interoperable communications evolving in order to try and determine what kinds of best practices should be developed to help move to the next level.
So what did you find this year?
So very interestingly, we had great participation across the nation. More than 5,000 public safety organizations across the nation participated. And the survey is done at an agency level. So more than 5,000 people from 5,000 different agencies submitted information to help us understand what the challenges were. And interestingly, one of the things that we discovered both in the 2018 survey and this 2023 survey is that cybersecurity challenges for emergency communicators is still a challenge.
So you mentioned cybersecurity was a challenge in 2018, and then it still is today. What's ECD doing to help the emergency communications sector tackle this?
Great question. In 2018, as a result of the survey discovering that more than 60% of emergency communications officials didn't have the development of a cybersecurity plan, we had to tackle that. So CISA made some leadership decisions early in 2020, late 2019, 2021 to dedicate resources for the very first time to ECD to have funding available for increasing public safety cybersecurity awareness. So we began creating technical assistance opportunities to do awareness webinars, to go around the country providing public safety awareness and even some cybersecurity assessments. The cybersecurity division supported emergency communications by adjusting the cybersecurity evaluation tool, including a module that provides for assessments of public safety answering points for 911 and an assessment for land mobile radio that's used by public safety officials across the nation. So CISA has actually been doing a lot since 2018. The 2023 results showed a decrease in the number of public safety officials that have said that they don't have cybersecurity plans, but there is still a very, very large number, over 60% of public safety organizations don't have adequate funding in their own organization to address cybersecurity. So there still is a challenge, and it's a challenge nationwide. We're doing a great job here on the federal level to create programs that are assisting and helping them develop planning and develop a way of understanding what the cybersecurity challenges are. But the state and local communities, still have a ways to go to be able to have funding to address cybersecurity challenges in their jurisdictions.
I'd love to get a sense of who's working at the federal level in emergency communications.
So here at CISA, we manage a program statutorily required called the Emergency Communications Preparedness Center. The statute requires 8, but it allows for, according to the charter that has been created, more agencies and departments to participate. We currently have 14 departments. all across the spectrum: Department of Defense, Department of Transportation, Department of Labor, Department of Interior, Health and Human Services, Department of Agriculture. All 14 of us working together, because at some level, some of the organizations, many of them, they actually have some form of emergency responders for their agency embedded in their organization. So, we naturally think about law enforcement organizations that we have: CBP, TSA, ICE, and we know that those responders, as they're doing work in the field, they need to be able to communicate for officer safety and performing those functions that protect lives and property. Other agencies have the same thing. Think about those large tracts of land that the Department of Agriculture manages. Think about those large national parks that the Department of Interior has. Think about those that large footprint that the Department of Defense has all over the nation. Anywhere there's large federal property, they probably have some form of security, some form of fire protection, some form of emergency management. And in many of those cases, they also have the ability, if the installation is large enough, to have some form of cell phone coverage that requires access to 911 to keep people safe when they're on that installation. All of those emergency responders rely to some degree on emergency responders from the local jurisdictions as well, just as every other. So large cities like Arlington, where we are, they rely on Washington, D.C. They rely on Prince George's County. They rely on Fairfax to be working together as emergency responders, because the challenges that we face sometimes are right on the border, or sometimes it's a challenge that's moving between jurisdictions, and the emergency responders should be sharing information with each other to try and reduce that risk.
And really,
same thing on the federal properties.
And really, in a crisis or in a response, borders don't matter, right? Like jurisdiction lines.
That's right.
That everybody needs to be able to come together.
Yep. Like we sort of say, cyber has no borders. Risk has no borders.
Oh, I could not agree more. That is 100%. So what's next for Emergency Communications Division here at CISA? What are you all focused on for not just this month, but moving forward? What are your big goals?
Yeah, so some of the things that we're challenged with as we think about where the future is going. So we are trying to position the way that we naturally think every single day to be 15 years in the future. We express what we are talking about as a vision that's 10 years out. So 2033 is the vision that we're thinking about now. Where is operational communications going to be in 2033? Because we should be trying to help to shape the conversations for how that technology works its way into operational communications today. So artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum computing at the edge, and quantum encryption. Those are all emerging technologies that we know are going to impact how operational communications are performed, which requires the same fundamental three focuses: interoperability, good planning, and priority access. That's where we're spending a lot of time thinking about finding parts of the research community. So our friends at S&T have been super instrumental and super helpful.
That's DHS Science and Technology.
That's right. Yep. And that's not DOD's Science and Technology. We have our own Science and Technology. But they've been. You like that? I'm on that. Yep.
Really,
this is Homeland.
You're really getting them. You're really zingers on there.
But so we've been working with our partners at DHS S&T to think through how do we make sure that that advances in artificial intelligence, advances in machine learning, advances in quantum computing, advances in quantum encryption help operational communicators in the future. And so that's been super exciting.
That is 2033.
2033.
It sounds like a while, but it's
tomorrow.
Yes, yes, it is. Especially as we're kind of navigating through the adoption of AI sort of across not just the agency, but really our society. And how to use that responsibly, safely, securely. But also, how do you how do you leverage the awesome power that it has
Exactly.
to do even better?
Yep.
So
what could make and again, fundamentally, communicators, we just want information to be moved as expeditiously as possible. Where can machine learning, where can quantum computing, where can artificial intelligence help accelerate the ability to get responders to citizens to help save lives and protect property faster?
Billy Bob, thanks so much for joining today. It's so much fun talking to you.